Hello, this is the FGDP 50 and the FGDP 30. Those are Yamaha's new finger drum pads. They are great just to playing drums and percussion wherever you are. You just take it with you and you're good to go. There's a built-in speaker, a battery, plenty of sounds, and that's all you need to start right away. Then we have the dedicated finger drumming pad section, ergonomically built, especially for your fingers. Then with the FGDP 50 we have another row of RGB lights, and of course you can assign them with all the sounds you need. They both feature a great ergonomic pad layout that is designed to play drums and percussion with ease. And both have a big variety of great drum and percussion sounds. And they have both a section for the click track. And in the back you find connections for your auxiliary in, headphone outs, and a port to connect it with your computer. In addition, the FGDP 50 features another USB port for a memory stick. From there you can import your drum sounds, or you can play along with your personal playback, or you can even record a performance that you play on the FGDP. Last but not least, on the FGDP 50 we have 8 RGB pads. Of course, you can assign them to any sounds you want, and they have this beautiful light design that sometimes help, for instance with the click track, to know where you are. The FGDP is made specifically for finger drumming, but not just only for finger drummers. It's made also for producers or any kind of musicians who wants to work on their rhythmic skills, and actually it's made for anybody who's interested to play an instrument. Let's talk a little bit about the pad layout. The pad layout, it's made for your hands and not the other way around. So it's quite easy to play on them without moving too far. You have bigger pads for the most important instruments like the bass drum and the snare drum. Together with a hi-hat, it's easy to play a complete groove. If you just hold your hand in a relaxed position and just let it drop, you already kind of land on those pads. So this makes it really easy and effortless to play for a longer period of time. Because the hi-hat and the snare drum are quite versatile in sound, you have even more pads for them. So you find an open hi-hat here in the middle, and a second snare drum rim shot. Right now we are in a vertical position. If you turn your hands a little bit, you are horizontally and you find your toms. The great thing is that you have for both hands the toms, so you don't have to cross over and play on one side. So you keep it calm and you can play the toms with ease. On top you have 2 crash cymbals, like in the real world, you have them on top. Then you have a right cymbal with a right bell and some additional instruments at the bottom, like a splash cymbal or a rim click. Let's talk a little bit about the pad sensitivity. Of course, the pads are very sensitive. And this is maybe one of the most important parameters in music, to play dynamically. What does that mean? Dynamic is the range between the softest and the loudest stroke. And here we have the full range with just tapping a little bit. And then playing louder. This is so important. For instance, if you just have a groove and you play always one dynamic, then it sounds a little stiff and a little mechanic. So if you just play you can give different notes a different weight in that rhythm, and that makes it more groovy. And of course you can change the sensitivity to your playing style. Then we have the RGB pads. They are like regular pads. You can assign any sound you like, and like I said before, you can have it in conjunction with the click track. And in the session creator you can use them to control the part of your song. The FGDP 50 and the FGDP 30 features a big variety of sounds. Here some examples for acoustic set, or an electronic set, or even percussion sets. Of course, you can edit each sound in many different ways. You have your standard parameters like volume. Then we have pan. Tuning. Decay. Then we have a filter cutoff for each sound. With resonance. Both FGDPs feature an effects section with 3 send effects. We have the reverb type, then we have the chorus type, and the variation type, but all of them feature much more. For instance, have flanger, phaser, auto-wear, a chorus, delays, and all kinds of different effects. Let's talk about the session creator on the FGDP 50. If you go to the session creator, the FGDP 50 provides 23 different playbacks for you of all kinds of styles and genres. Let's go to the funk playback. Here the RGB pads work as buttons for start and stop or to guide you through the song. And with the pads 2 to 6 you switch in between the different parts. You can also load your own loops and play on top of them. If you like to play to your own songs and loops, it's quite easy. You just put your files on a USB stick and put this one in the USB to device port. Then the FGDP 50 automatically recognizes the files and you can play along. You can play along to any track you want using the auxiliary in with a mini jack cable. So you can use your phone, your laptop or any other playback device. Let's talk about the note repeat function. With the note repeat function you create this kind of modern stutter effect. And the great thing is that you can have it on every pad and you can have different subdivisions. For instance, I take a hi-hat sound and go in note repeat. And now I have 8 notes, or I go for 16 notes. And this is individual, so I can have a completely different one for the bass drum or the snare drum. And of course the pads have aftertouch, so it makes a big difference how hard I push the pad, from soft to hard. Together with the hold function, you can create little sequences. In order to activate the hold mode, you press the button and then push your pad. Push it a second time, it stops the repeat function. On the FGDP 50 you also can load in your own samples. Again, you have to put them on your memory stick. The format should be wave format with 16-bit and 44.1 kHz. And then again, the FGDP recognizes them automatically. You go to your sample, push enter and choose where you want to have it load, and then it's loading. In both FGDPs we have a click track section, and the click track actually should help the musician. If you don't feel comfortable with the click track, you maybe like to change the click track pattern. So you have different subdivisions here, or you even have complete patterns like the Sunclave. And of course you can change the sound as well from different metronomes to a cowbell, drumsticks.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Or even a human voice that counts along. With the registration function, you get some snapshots of your system. At the FGDP 50 you have 4 snapshots, at the FGDP 30 you have 2 of them. With the 4 buttons you change the registration. For instance, you have a drum set and then you like to change quickly to another drum set. This is possible. What you can do, you can add, for instance, some effects to the drum sets and then register them as the set with the effects. Other things you can do with the registration, for instance, you like to have different functions on buttons and then you store them in that registration. So for instance here I use this button to create reverb. Or I have another button to have pitch changes. So all of this you can set and then register in one of those 4 registration snapshots. An easy example could be that you like a drum set, once with a normal snare drum and maybe with a higher pitched snare drum. So first thing what you do with the registration, you just push for the regular snare drum or for the regular set button number 1, completed, saved. Now everything is saved and now you go into the snare drum, change the pitch and save the set as it is with the new snare drum on registration number 2. And now at the very end you still have to save the registration. This is by going in the registration and then just save to, you name it, and save it. It's very easy to integrate the FGDP in your studio setup. In this case you can use the FGDP as a MIDI controller, audio interface or sound module. And this by just connecting one cable to the USB to host port. Let's start with a MIDI controller. For instance, here I opened a Groove Agent in Cubase and now I can play all the sounds from my FGDP. In this case, the FGDP works as a MIDI controller for your DAW. If you use the FGDP as an audio interface, then you can listen to your DAW's output through the FGDP's speaker and headphones. For example, now I play this loop and then it goes through the speaker and the headphones from the FGDP. And of course you can record the internal FGDP sounds directly as audio in your DAW. You can record MIDI with it. And of course, you can now play back the MIDI notes and can use the FGDP as a sound module. And of course, you can always record on top of it and layer your sounds. If you like to video record your performance and share it on social media, then you can use the FGDP in conjunction with the Rec and Share app. You can connect your FGDP just with one cable to your phone or to your tablet using the 2-host USB port at the back of the FGDP. Okay, let's record. Now I stop the recording. And then I hit save. I hope you enjoyed this brief overview. Have fun with the FGDP and thank you for watching.